What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Inside Lines podcast. I'm your host, Atoya Burleson.
And I'm Tia Avril.
Coming up a bit later in the show, we'll be chatting with Jennifer King, Washington Commanders' assistant running backs coach. We'll also be getting into our hot take this week, where we'll be discussing Sam Ponder and some backlash that she's been receiving on social media for one of her tweets. But first, Tia, what's going on?
Nothing much, girl. You know, we're coming off this long weekend, which I can appreciate. But look, girl, okay, so look, I wanted to go see, because, you know, Little Mermaid came out on Friday.
Yeah.
And my boys were like, no, Mom, we're not going. So I took myself and I went to the Cinemark Reserve. So, you know, it's the 21 and up theater. You know, they serve alcohol and food and all the things. And when I say, they were actually packed. Like, the theater was packed. And it was a freaking 4:30 p.m. showing. The 3 p.m. showing was sold out. And then the next showing, I think was like 5 something, was also sold out. I said, okay, I like this little situation where this is our era. Okay.
That's right. Did you love it? Tell me your thoughts on Little Mermaid.
Okay, so I really liked the movie. Number one, I thought it would be like super girly, and I don't care what nobody say. My boys are like, they also thought like it was going to be super girly, so they were like, no, thank you. But it really was not. Like, I definitely think the animated version was a little more girly, but the live action was actually really good. The storyline was good. Halle did amazing. She looked beautiful. And look, girl, have you seen it?
I have, yeah.
Okay, you did see it. When I say my favorite part, of course, is the iconic part where she comes out of the water and she flips her hair and it's locks. It was locks. I was like, come through Disney. Okay.
Yeah,
so it was good.
Awesome.
I did like it.
I enjoyed it as well. It's just a funny part. Do you remember the part when the guy started singing, which is not in the first Mermaid, but the guy started singing his part and he's just, So it's funny because the women are like, wait, what? What's going on? And they's like, come on now, we need equality both ways. Let him have his moment. So yeah, I wasn't expecting that part for sure, but it was cool to see him do it. So he's jumping all over the rock, singing around. If y'all haven't seen Little Mermaid, go see Little Mermaid.
It was actually cute. Now what was interesting, which is a little bit of a sidebar, but I was reading an article this morning about theaters in China. So like Little Mermaid did not do well in China at all. Like, I want to say they made like $2.8 or $2.9 million for the entire weekend, which is like ridiculous. But it caused this conversation just about racism that exists in China. So I don't know if you saw, like, there was this big backlash with Black Panther and will it do well in this Chinese market and things of that nature. And people really calling out the people from China and this years-long historical racism that they pose, I guess. But anyway, I'm glad they did well in the U.S., which is
I am too. I was here for it. And you know what? I just love to sing them songs again. It just took me back. It was very nostalgic for me. I love that part. Mia was looking at me like, girl, if you don't calm down. So I had to calm down my singing. But I enjoyed myself. It's great to have, that time with her too. And of course, my boys didn't go either, Tia, so don't feel bad. But I had Mia and her dad went. So it was great. It was a good time. All right, y'all, enough about that. Let's get into this week's hot take. All right, it's time for this week's hot take, Tia. What we got?
Okay, so this week we are discussing this backlash that Samantha Ponder received from one of her tweets. So for those of you who are not familiar, Samantha Ponder, amazing ESPN reporter. She was on our show for Super Bowl this past year. Friend of the show, her husband also used to play in the NFL, but she retweeted, let me make sure I get the young lady's name. Her name is Riley Gaines. She's a University of Kentucky swimmer. And Riley was basically calling for fairness in women's sports. And this comes after just discussions about allowing transgender women to participate in female sports like swimming, which we all are aware of the backlash with the young lady who transitioned from being a male to a female. She was like ranked like 100 and something in swimming, and then when she moved over to the women's category, she like became number one. But they are also seeing these types of conflicts with U.S. track at different levels, high school, collegiate, and things of that nature. And so Samantha retweeted her because she was saying that there's other young ladies that share that same sentiment, but they are afraid to speak out because they don't want to be called or saying that they are spewing hateful words and thoughts and things of that nature. And so my question to you, Atoya, in general is, do you agree with Samantha and Riley just on their stance on the participation of transgender women in women's sports?
Okay, so let's back it up a little bit. Let's talk about when sports initially were just for men, right? Sports were initially just for men, and women didn't even have a place to participate in sports. And as time progressed, that changed. And they allowed women to participate, obviously, separately from men on their own. Why was that? Well, because we're women, and biologically, us competing against men would not be fair, right? So here we are, fast forward to 2023, and we still have and have progressed in sports as women. Now, let's talk about being transgender. Being transgender is deciding at some point after you're born, later in life, that you identify, if you're a male, if you're born a male and you decide that you identify as a female, you do have the right to change whatever you want to change and do what you want to do. That's fine. But biologically, you are still born a man. And because of that, you have a physical advantage over women. So let's just look at it from that standpoint alone. No one's saying that we don't like transgender people. No one is saying that we don't think what you're doing is right and we are being hateful and bashing what you choose to do later on in your life. But if we're looking at fairness and we're looking at a biological comparison, it's not fair that you compete against women your age because you were born a man. You have more testosterone, you're bigger, you're stronger. It's just the reality of what science says. So when Sam is standing up for this young girl, she's not standing up for this girl in the sense of she's making this transgender person feel bad for being transgender. She's standing up because she has both a male and a female, a daughter and son. And as an athlete, you understand it's not fair for boys to compete against girls. And I have both. That's like my son deciding to compete against a girl. That's ludicrous. It wouldn't be fair in the least. Okay. I have to tell him to slow down. Just let your sister win. Just let your sister shoot the shot. Don't block a shot. Be nice to her, right? You have to tell your boys that because biologically they are stronger. So for what Sam is doing, I applaud her for. I know it's not popular, but there is truth to that. And you have to learn to hear both sides. And that's what people are not doing anymore. What about you?
I wonder, because I always think about like, okay, so what is the solution, right? Because I do agree that biologically men, even when you begin to transition, if you decide to transition to a woman, like there's still a physical advantage. And Absolutely. I know that some people say that there are hormones and medicines and things of that nature that they are taking during their transition that lessens the strength, I guess, of the natural born abilities, right? And I'm not super well versed in that space, so I won't speak about that. But what I will say is that whole situation with the swimming athlete who I spoke of when I first started Hot Takes, that was like okay, now look, y'all, now we tried it. And we see that there is the clear advantage. So what else can we do? Right. So I wonder if there is an opportunity, if there's enough transgender athletes that are willing to participate, like, is there enough of them to have their own category? So we have men's sports, we have women's sports, and we have transgender sports, right? Where there can be a leveling of the playing field. And I do, because I started the topic off with the notion of Sam getting all these backlash for her tweets. It's very interesting because people are really scared to share their true thoughts and opinions on this topic for fear of being titled or labeled a bigot, right, of some sort. And so it is, while it's very brave, especially for Riley, to even just go out there and say, look, I don't agree with this. And she's a top performing athlete and things of that nature. And even Sam or whatever, to put herself out there. But we got to do something about it, because I don't think that it's fair.
It's not. And let me tell you, when I would go, I remember being, when I ran track in high school, and we would do workouts. And my coaches sometimes would make me run with the guys. He didn't make me run with the guys because he thought I was going to beat them. Let's be clear. He wanted me to just stay as close as possible, to keep up, to push me. But he knew that they were going to always beat me, you know? And so speaking as an athlete and understanding and knowing just the physical characteristics of a male versus a female, it just is not fair. Biologically, scientifically, it's a clear advantage for the transgender person. And we have to learn to like take all of these blinders off and like stop picking sides and look at things from a fair scope. And that's what's not being done. Let's look at all of it. Let's not pick and choose little pieces of what we decide to choose, and look at the overall arching problem, which is, even though you chose to be this, you still real strong, and you're gonna beat your counterparts because biologically you're male. Period. It's what it is. It's nothing personal. I'm the type of person, you can do whatever you want in your life, okay? You can decide to be whatever it is you want to be. But to your point, Tia, fairness is looking at both sides, not just one side. So
yeah, y'all let us know what y'all think. Like, number one, weigh in on the whole topic of transgender individuals participating in men and women's sports as it stands now. But also let us know a solution to the problem, right? Because I hate to always complain about something and say this is wrong, without there being an active solution or something that we can work towards. Leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/insidelines, or drop us a DM in our Instagram account.
Hit us in our DMs, y'all.
Yes.
All right, y'all, that's it for this week's Hot Take. Coming up next, our chat with Jennifer King. On the show today, we welcome the first African-American female assistant position coach in NFL history. She is a 7-time All-American quarterback and wide receiver for the Carolina Phoenix women's tackle football team. She is coached in the Alliance of American Football as well as the college ranks, and she is now entering her 4th season in the NFL. Please welcome to the show assistant running backs coach for the Washington Commanders, Jennifer King. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
We are good.
We are good. We are excited to have you on. First of all, I just want to say congratulations to you on all your successes.
Absolutely.
Your story is so inspiring as well as interesting, because if we back it up and go back a little bit and talk about where it all began, you were a multi-sport college athlete while at Guilford College, correct?
Yeah, I did a lot.
Can we talk about, let's just start there, because that alone is very rare. I ran track in college. I did not do 2 sports, and I don't know how you did it, but I want to hear how this came about.
Yeah, softball was actually my first sport that I started playing when I was about 8 years old. It was the first team I was on, but obviously I played a bunch of other sports as well. And, in high school, I was good in both. And, none of the bigger scholarship schools and offers that I had would allow me to play both. So even there were schools where I had opportunities to play both sports at a school, but the coaches didn't want me to play both. They wanted me to choose. And they were at, bigger schools. And then Guilford College came into the picture, much smaller school than some of the other schools recruited me, but it was great academically. And, I told them that I wanted to play both sports, and they was like, we can make it work. So that's where I went.
Well, how did you manage all that?
I don't know. To me, I feel like I've been busy since I was a kid. You know, there were times when, like 7th grade, I was playing 3 different sports and I would have 3 different practices after school. So I think my whole life I've kind of just been busy with a lot going on. So sometimes now, even in the off season when I don't have anything to do, I start getting antsy because I feel like there's something I have to be doing.
just like the players.
Yeah.
So when you concluded college, you became a coach. So how was that transition going from player to now you're coaching basketball?
Yeah, it was actually a smooth transition. I was fortunate enough to join someone's staff who I had known since I was a kid. He was a college coach in the area in Greensboro, North Carolina, and he offered me an opportunity to come on as a volunteer. I knew I wanted to be around sports. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I was a volunteer, so I had to do a bunch of other things too. But I knew that's where my heart was, so I was able to do a bunch of other random jobs just to be able to continue coaching. And that's actually when I started playing football as well.
Okay, you got to tell everybody about that because they want to know. Because they like, I already introed that. You got to fill us in.
Yeah, so growing up, I was really good at football. Middle school, they wanted me to play on the team, and my mom was like, "Nah, not happening."
Wait a minute, they actually wanted you to play, because usually it's the other way around, where like maybe the younger girls want to play, and they're like, "No, thank you."
No, I was super athletic, and I could run and do some great things, so they wanted me to play. But growing up, like the local high school quarterback, he was actually a neighbor of mine, and he like broke his collarbone in the game, and that was always like my mom's go-to. Like, no, you can't play, you'll break your collarbone. But yeah, so I didn't get to play. But when I graduated, obviously I was an adult, and a friend introduced me to the women's tackle leagues, and I was able to play for 12 seasons with the Carolina Phoenix, New York Sharks, DC Divas, and the DC Prodigy. So won a couple championships, and it was just a lot of fun. It's a lot of great women still playing. I'm actually on the board now of the WNFC league, which I feel is the best league, but obviously I'm partial because I'm on the board.
Right. Okay, but you have to tell us about your highlight. I need to hear your highlight from college. Like, what was something that sticks out for you? And even when you play football, like, I want to hear from you. You got to brag on yourself a little bit.
Oh, I hate it. I don't know. I mean, I think in college basketball, I could always score. So I think that was one of my big roles. So I scored a lot of points, and my senior year, I was able to average 23 points a game, which was needed. I needed to average about 30 for us to get more wins. But it was a lot of fun, and softball, I was pretty gifted all the way around. So I'd been playing that for a long time, and it was just fun, to be able to play softball and basketball at the collegiate level, compete against great athletes, and same thing for football. So many of those women's players are ex-college athletes, so it's really good athletes out there playing football. So scored a bunch of touchdowns. I was a quarterback, so I could run a little bit and throw the ball. So I was able to get a lot of touchdowns. So have 207 for my career, which is it's pretty cool. When you look back and see all the things we did, and obviously shout out to our offense and our offensive line and everybody for creating that.
You had a serious coordinator too.
Yeah, no. I mean, there were a couple seasons we led the league in scoring. We were scoring like 60 a game.
Now, how many teams are in the women's league?
Wow, there are a lot of women's football teams across the country, even in Canada. So, the WFA and the WNFC are the biggest 2 leagues that are competing right now. They both have some dominant teams. Boston has won the WFA championship, I don't know how many years in a row, and Dallas has won the WNFC championship. So hopefully one day we can get those teams to play each other. But there are a bunch of teams. There's a good chance there's a team in your area wherever you are in the country.
Okay, so a little bit of a sidebar, because Toya had brought up the collegiate space, but what are your thoughts on like what's going on with the women's teams now, especially after this NCAA tournament journey? Like, I feel like they've been in the media. These girls out here getting money. Some of them saying they don't even want to go to the WNBA. They good where they at now. What are your thoughts on it?
I love it. I love the fact that I think, women's collegiate sports, we're talking about basketball, obviously, but the growth, you can turn on TV now and see, women's softball, even gymnastics, and whatever is on TV right now. And I think that's cool that we're able to see the growth. And, it's obviously proven that when you show women's sports, more people watch. Every major women's sporting event now breaks records for viewing, just because people are watching. And obviously we had a great NCAA tournament, great athletes competing, and I'm all for them getting everything that they can, before they go pro.
Okay, so speaking of getting everything that you can, you won 2 championships, national championships, right?
Yeah, and tackle. I have a couple others in flag as well.
Oh my God. She said, just come to my house. I have a whole shelf.
Okay, so wait, so you did flag professionally?
Nah, well, it's I guess the highest level you can play. It's not professionally, but I was able, when I lived in Charlotte, when I was a head coach there, and was able to join 2 pretty dominant teams. So the 7 women's team and then a 8 co-ed team, and both of them were pretty good. So I was fortunate to join them, but I did my part and we were really good.
Unbelievable. All right, we got to talk a little bit about your transition. There came this time where you kind of got the itch to possibly coach in the NFL. We need to know the details of how that happened, and what made you kind of even think about that.
Yeah, it's kind of wild how it all happened. When I moved to Charlotte, I was a head coach at Johnson Wales University in Charlotte, on the basketball side. And, my building, my office was literally, it's like 30 feet from the Carolina Panthers practice facility. It was separated by like a fence, but you could see through. And obviously I love football, and so I would watch practice sometimes and kind of duck security to watch, duck their little golf carts when I was going into the building. But fortunately for me, I was able to meet Coach Rivera at the Women's Coaches Forum put on by the NFL. We actually met in Florida. So I was next door, but we actually met in Florida. And I thought that was an opportunity for me to shoot my shot. And I've been coaching football as well as college basketball at lower levels. So I was coaching high school, middle school. That's where I started. But I just kind of introduced myself to him and let him know where I was. And at that point, I've been playing football for a long time, and just wanted him to know who I was. And he invited me over for the rookie mini camp, which is about 2 days. And, I was hyped. To be able to go over there, and he put me with the wide receiver group, and it was cool. I had a great 2 days. Thought that was it. Near the end of day 2, he was like, "Yeah, I really liked what you brought, and I want you to come back for OTAs, which were already starting." And so I went back for OTAs with the guys on the team, and I guess I did a good enough job. And after OTAs, he was like, "I want you to come back to minicamp." So I did that, and near the end of minicamp, he was like, "I want to see if I can get you in training camp." So what I thought was going to be 2 days turned into like 5 months with the Panthers, and I was next door, so obviously I could kind of bounce back and forth if I needed to my office. But that's kind of how it all got started for me.
Okay, I need to hear how you felt, though. I need to know, like, when you get there, you're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm still here." Like, what was your mindset?
When I first walked in for rookie minicamp, if you're unfamiliar with rookie minicamp, it's a bunch of kind of unsigned free agents. Obviously, the draft picks are there. But for the most part, a lot of those guys, they're just trying to hang on and make it. So it wasn't intimidating in any way, because they're just trying to make it. It's not like you're going into a veteran. Now, when we started OTAs and minicamp, that's when you get, your regular team and the people that and I'll never forget, my first day with the team, we had a team meeting, and, and if you don't know, in football, especially in NFL, like team meeting, everybody sits in the same place, like every day. So, I walk in, I don't know where to sit because I don't want to take anyone's seat. So I'm kind of standing against the wall, and Luke Kuechly, who's a big name for the Panthers at the time, he walks by me, he introduces himself. Obviously I already knew who he was, but he did that, and I think that just kind of broke the ice for me. Like, he's one of the biggest names on the team, and he came up and introduced himself, before the team meeting, and it was something obviously he didn't have to do, and me and him are still cool to this day.
Shout out to Luke. That kind of just relaxed your shoulders, like, okay, I'm good now.
I'm here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I want to rewind a little bit. So you talked about the women's, you said it's a women's coaching forum. So what is that? And like, how do you even get an opportunity to participate in it?
It's put on by the NFL. It started as, Yeah, they still do it. It started as a coaching forum for women who are interested in coaching, and now it's evolved to just women in football in general. So, my class, 2018, I believe, that was in Florida, it was just a bunch of women who love football and were knowledgeable and wanted to get their foot in the door. And, I was able to participate in this year's forum, which is now held at the Combine each year. And all the women participants were already working in football, that just shows you the growth over 3 years.
Right.
Their job were football. Some of them were students, they're in college, and some of them were out of college, but already working in operations or, all the many different areas of football, as well as coaches.
Okay, so I know you said you had the experience with the rookies. It was smooth because they trying to make it. They trying to make that good 52-man roster. But how was it when outside of Luke, the rest of the veterans, were they receptive to you? Did you get pushback from them or maybe some of the coaches?
Oh, not at all. I mean, everybody was cool. It helped that I had played. So obviously, they're Googling just to see who I am. But I think the fact that I played helped a lot. And the fact that, I went in with, a level of confidence. I wouldn't say I was just out there yelling at people, but, I was a head coach at the time. I was established on the basketball side. So, I think I had a level of confidence that I went in with. Obviously, I had to find my voice on the football field, but the guys were great. And, many of those guys I still talk to. And actually, Curtis Sammy, we have on our team here in Washington, but he was on that first team that I worked with in Carolina.
Wow. Full circle.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to go back a little bit because you also coached you were a position coach in the East-West Shrine Bowl. And I know when I was reading different things, I read about that because I knew about that because of Nate. Nate was in it. And I was like, okay, East-West Shrine. So tell us about how that came about, how you get the invitation and how that was when you went there to coach.
Yeah, that was a great experience. Head coaches in the league, they'll nominate assistants that they have. And essentially you get to work a level up from where you are. So I was able to get nominated and get selected to go work in the Shrine Bowl. So you're in charge of your own room and, everything that goes along with that. So it was a great opportunity to work with a lot of those college guys that were draft eligible that we were about to be evaluating anyway. And this year I was able to work at the East-West game as well down in Mobile. So really cool opportunities and, I'm very thankful for them.
Yeah, you see those young guys and they're just eyes wide open and they're so, they're just trying to soak everything up. So I know they really enjoyed having that experience with you. I mean, I know I would. I was just thinking about when we were there in Vegas, where they had it just this last time. And the kids are so hungry just to learn, and just to understand and soak up any knowledge that you can give them. What would you say is the biggest moment for you as far as being around all of these coaches and players? What's a moment that stands out to you that you really soaked up some knowledge that you feel like, okay, I'm going to take this and run with it?
Oh, man. Where do I start? I've been fortunate enough to work with some great coaches along the way. We have great coaches here in Washington as well. And, I'm just one of those people. I try to be a sponge in any room that I'm in, And, when I worked in Arizona with Coach Neuheisel, he dropped dimes all the time. Coach Rivera, obviously. I work with Randy Jordan in our running back room. It's constant, that you're always learning something that you can use in the future. So, I don't know what pops in my mind, but I think there's so much stuff that has kind of molded me into the coach that I am now that I've picked up from other coaches along the way.
I tell you what, I'm so glad you've had a positive experience in the league because I just remember. And my husband was drafted in 2008 and he's done playing now. But I remember having conversations like, how would y'all feel if it was a woman in the room, if she was a coach or whatever? And just the reckless stuff they would say, I'm like, what? Who in the hell raised y'all? So,
or who didn't raise y'all?
Who didn't raise y'all? Right. So I'm glad that you had that smooth transition into the space. Now, I know you have been in the midst of the NFL with all the controversy in the country in general as it pertains to race relations. Of course, the Colin Kaepernick journey, and then through COVID with the murder of George Floyd. What would you say your experience has been like with the NFL itself, like the Shield being a black coach in the space?
I mean, I feel like they're trying. I think that's all you can really say. Like they're doing some things. I think it's one of those things everyone's kind of feeling their way along. And you kind of have to sort out what's genuine and what's not. But I do feel like there's effort there because obviously they could have done nothing. So the things that they're doing, I feel like they're definitely trying. And I think, even like the stickers that some of the players wearing on their helmets, on their jerseys, I think the players like that. They get to choose what they want to wear. And they don't have to do it, but they can choose to have a message on their helmets for, different messages. And I think they enjoy that.
Okay, you got to tell me your thoughts about this because I think about this as a coach, but also as an athlete. There's this saying about comfort zones versus being uncomfortable. What would you say to those two titles? I'm sure you've probably had to say some of this stuff to your players.
Oh, of course. And to myself, just because, working in the NFL is crazy. You can be here one day and go on the next. So I think it's definitely no place to be comfortable. You're always trying to get better because you're either getting better or you're getting worse. So, I think I'm always trying to get better and never really comfortable.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because we talk about all the time, like being on the family side, like with the players, is how stressful the instability or how unstable being in the NFL is in general for players, because you could be gone the next day, right? But it's just as unstable for the coaches. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same, whenever, a change happens, it happens. But, I think I learned a long time ago in coaching in general, it's not something you think about. You just go in to get better and make the team better every day. You don't think about what could happen. You just want to put your best foot forward and continue to bring things to the table.
Okay, so when you think about an athlete and you think about when I look back, everyone has that moment of adversity in their lives, something that they've overcome, and how in the moment when you're in it, it doesn't feel like that. But as you look back, it made you better. What would be that moment for you?
It was probably making that jump from basketball to football, coaching wise. I talked about I was a head coach. Talking about being comfortable. I mean, we had won national championship, and life was pretty good for me.
Yeah.
And I pretty much walked away from all of it to go into football. So I think that was one of those moments. Obviously, it worked out for me, but you had to be prepared for it not to work out as well. And how would you respond to that? So that's probably one of those biggest moments in my life.
Okay. So, again, from the family side, we used to get some crazy requests from family members. Like, oh, you in the NFL now. Like, what kind of crazy request did you get as soon as your family started finding out, oh, yeah, I'm in the building now?
Family, friends, third cousins that you never heard from, all of them.
Yeah, I mean, my family's pretty chill, so nothing crazy from them. And my ignore game is elite. So, I've ignored a lot of messages that I knew where they were going. I didn't even end up reading them. But so that's kind of how I handle all that stuff.
You just ignore it.
Yeah.
I'm good for, you text me? My bad.
Right. I didn't see it. I didn't know that. Yeah.
I get a lot of texts. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Before we wrap, we always play this really fun game. It's called the 2-minute drill. You know about the 2-minute drill. Ours is a lot easier. It's just this or that questions, or we ask you just to fill in the blank. So it's just something fun that we do.
Short answer.
Before we end. So let's get started. Tia, you got the clock?
Yep, you got it.
Okay. What's your favorite basketball team?
Professionally?
Yeah.
Professionally, I'm a Warriors fan. I like how they play. I like to shoot the three. I love that.
Okay.
What do you need to be happy?
Music.
Okay.
What's your favorite food to eat? It's your go-to.
Go-to. Pizza.
What could you live without for 1 month?
Wow. That's a hard
Just
question.
1 month. Just 1 month.
I know, 1 month. A car.
Okay.
What's your favorite pair of sneakers? This is tricky. Favorite pair. Go to.
That is because I'm a sneakerhead. So
Nate's the same way. He's like, you can't ask me that.
Right.
Nah.
I have some trophy room Jordan 1s, so they're probably my most coveted pair. I have some Jackie Robinson dunks too. They're my favorite probably.
Oh, nice.
They at the
Nice,
top.
nice.
Nobody touches those ever.
Yeah.
What's a nickname your parents used to call you?
Jen Jen.
What is your favorite music that you listen to when you need something to pick you up?
Hip hop for sure.
Favorite artist?
Jay-Z.
Okay. At what age do you want to retire?
Wow. Never thought about that. Let's go.
Just like I'm just getting started.
I'm counting down.
Okay.
Look, no.
Right. Let's go like 55. How about that?
All right. Who would you say has it easier, women or men?
Men.
Go. Okay. Last question. What is next for you?
What's next? I'm about to go finish my work. That's what's next. No.
Look, we call her.
Y'all heard her.
End of the day, but it's still the middle of the work day a little bit.
Man, hopefully just an exciting season for us. You know, we're working hard this off season, and I'm excited for the 2023 season for us.
We are as well. And if people want to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you? Where can they hit you up?
Yeah, I have the basic social medias, Twitter, Jennifer King 5, Instagram, Jennifer.King5. So that's where you can find me.
And I'll be sure to put links to all your contact in the show notes. But thank you for joining us. Like, we were super excited to have you on the show. We were supposed to have you on before, and our schedule got messed up. And so when it circled back around, I was like, oh, for sure. Like, this is a go. But you are
I'm glad it worked out.
Thank you for inspiring so many young girls that know that this is a possibility. You know, being the first ain't easy, but, you know, hopefully you're not the last, and we appreciate you.
All right, I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Well, I am so glad Ms. Jennifer King came on and blessed us with just talking about her journey and how she got to where she is now. I hope that does inspire someone out there. Tia, tell me what you think.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. Like I just said, we were actually supposed to have Jennifer on. Has it been 2 years? 2 years ago. And schedules got messed up, whatever. But I'm what you mentioned towards the end of the interview is it's dope that she was able to do it to show people it's possible, right? Like, the girls that are into football, they grow up like kind of like anticipating being able to play the game, but knowing that you can actually coach under the shield and it actually be a pleasant experience, like, is dope to see. So congratulations again, Jennifer.
Yeah, congratulations. You just realize, like, I think women are starting to realize there's no barriers, you know, if you want to go after it. And she's a prime example of that. So, all right, y'all. Well, that's our show for the latest on the Inside Lines podcast. Make sure to follow us at Inside Lines Podcast on both Instagram and Facebook.
And be sure to check us out online at insidelinespodcast.com. And if you have any recommendations or any requests for topics, people you want to have on the show, comments or questions for Atoya and I, or if you have like follow-up from past episodes, like, because there was a few people that came back and was like, I wish you had asked this, or we need to extend this conversation, then leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/insidelines.
Until next time, leave it all out on the field. Thanks for listening, and we'll see y'all next time.